live on this one and talk about why May is going to be the month of boxing and June is going to be the month of the UFC. Now, if you are a fan of both sports, which I definitely am a big fan of both sports, a big supporter of both of them, I think it's going to be a very exciting spring to summer outcome as a result of that. Now, obviously, you have on May 4th, it's going to kick off with Canelo versus Munguia. A lot of people are saying that fight is going to be very difficult for Canelo, but I can see that fight is just going to be another day in the office for Canelo. If not, then we're going to find out that JB Munguia is actually a whole lot more talented, especially when the lights start coming in, right? The bright lights, as they say. So maybe perhaps he's one of those fighters. May 11th, Kambosos versus Lomachenko. In a world where boxing has become very predictable, this one sort of stays in that same category, but in reality, it's not. I think Kambosos and Lomachenko is going to be a very 50-50 matchup. So we have to be very careful about just picking up Lomachenko and thinking that he's going to dominate this one, because there's a whole wide range of factors I'm going to talk about of why that may not be the case. Also, who else is after the 11th? Obviously, it's going to be Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, May 18th, a fight that finally is happening due to the fact that it was supposed to happen back in February, the same day as Volkanovski and Ilya Topuria. However, that fight didn't come to fruition. Now they set it up for May 18th, and we're not that far away from it anymore, right? So it almost gave us this extra anticipation for a card like this. What is really significant about this card, too, is now we get to find out who the undisputed champion is at the heavyweight division. So that's something that we can definitely look forward to. And then once all of that is said and done, after May, what do you have? You got June. June is going to be a hottest month for UFC. Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev kicking it off in the beginning of the month. Middle of the month, you got Khamzat Chimaev taking on Whitaker, headlining for Saudi Arabia. So, not a bad lineup, because guess who ends the month in that whole entire great month of UFC's catalog? Conor McGregor taking on Michael Chandler. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss about that particular fight and how that fight is going to go and what's going to happen after that fight, what sort of trajectory one was to win. We're going to go through all that, but with a particular order. Of course, we're going to start off with the month of May with Canelo Alvarez and what could possibly be his toughest fight at 168. Or is it? You see, a lot of people may not really know a lot about Jamie Munguia. He's 43-0, but you got to ask yourself, he got up here to a record that is close to Mayweather's record, but who did he really fight? Which begs the question, is he really going to be that much of a dangerous fight for Canelo? Or will Canelo somehow manage to understand that this is just another day in the office, which is what I had mentioned earlier in this content. Another thing that I had mentioned is that, well, I haven't mentioned this, but it is important and worth mentioning. The performance of Jamie Munguia prior to Canelo, I don't think should be taken all into consideration. I mean, could you indicate some sort of matters at hand of, let's say, well, he looked weak in this position, or he didn't look too strong when he fought this guy, or this and that? Can you take something from that? Yes. But here's another thing that I'm going to tell you that a lot of content creators on YouTube don't talk about on the boxing side or MMA side. The fact that some people can really turn it up a notch once the bright lights and the cameras are on. Some people are gamers. And what do I mean by gamers? I don't mean Call of Duty champions online or anything like that. When I mean gamers, I mean guys that are, well, for the same nickname that Jorge Masvidal has, game bred. Because they are bred for the game, meaning that when it comes to the pressure and everything piling on you as a result of that pressure, they're ready to stand up to the occasion no matter what. And that right there, I think, is really one of the situations that a lot of people just don't take into consideration when they start looking at fights. They look at a fight and they just judge off of past experiences. Well, for one, you're probably thinking that perhaps maybe Jamie Munguia has a shot of winning this fight simply because Canelo Alvarez has lost to Bivol. Canelo Alvarez has also lost to Floyd Mayweather. Now, obviously, at this point, Floyd Mayweather is already a formidable star, but not only that, a very proven entity in terms of his skills and what he can leave behind in his legacy in boxing as far as being the highest defensive fighter of all time, rated-wise. So obviously, we know that there's a reason why Canelo lost to a guy like that. He was too much offense against Floyd Mayweather, but not enough defense and not enough patience in allowing Mayweather to allow himself to get countered and suckered in by Canelo. Not by a 23-year-old Canelo that was full of piss and vinegar, ready to empty out his tank against a much more skilled, much more methodical Floyd Mayweather. And with Bivol, you got to ask yourself, why did he lose that one? Because you have to ask, is it going to be for the same reason as what Jamie Munguia can offer? Does Jamie Munguia have excellent defense in the way that Floyd Mayweather does? The answer is no. Does Jamie Munguia have the height and the weight advantage that is proportioned to the advantage that, let's say, Bivol had? And the answer is no. Bivol is a true 175 fighter. And as a result, Bivol was able to not only use his prowess of technicality, but also use his attributes and physical size to dominate the fight and beat Canelo Alvarez to the punch. Munguia will be great one day, just won't be that day. Thank you, Daniel218. Thank you for dropping a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're going to continue on with that topic that Daniel had just dropped on us right now. Daniel, you're 100% correct, right? This is one of those situations where he is going to be great one day, and perhaps maybe if he really wanted the 50-0 record, perhaps he should have just skipped over Canelo, right? But just imagine, what if he is the guy to defeat Canelo? Then you got to ask yourself, my goodness, where does this go from here? 50-0? Because once he beats Canelo, by the way, a feat that already has happened plenty of times, and you got to think to yourself, well, you know what? How are they going to match him up after? Are they just going to give him easy 7 fights after that? That's a great possibility. It's a very good possibility that they're going to line him up with fights to reach 50-0. But if he does it, then he's going to have that one blemish on his record, but then will go on to still be one of the best ever, but just like what Daniel 218 here said, just not today. Just like Canelo, he is the best today in the certain limits of weight classes that he can compete in, such as 168, 160, 155, so on and so forth. But the man has his limits, and his limits was at 175, nonetheless, still the best in his weight classes, in which, by the way, Mayweather would have never done those move-ups the way Canelo had. But what we got with Jamie Munguia is a 50-50 fight. Okay, so one day, yes, will he be great? Yes. Will he do great against Benavidez? We'll see. Will Benavidez do great against Jamie Munguia? We will see. But for now, he's got a shot at greatness. And in my humble opinion, perhaps that's just not good enough right now. It's not good enough for him. What did Daniel here say? Gotta go though, brother. Salute. Gotta go. Salute, brother. And then this is Canelo versus Floyd type of fight. MO. And if he does, I wonder what's left of Saul. So that's a good one, Daniel. So you know what it is? If he goes and he somehow defeats Saul, or I'm sorry, if Saul, let's say, beats him, I'm going to tell you this, right? I think that Canelo is still going to box. I think he's still going to fight. He's still going to be in very lucrative fights. I think that Canelo sort of reached a Conor McGregor, Adrian Broner level where it doesn't matter how many times they lose, people will still show interest in watching them fight. That's where Canelo is at. So after this, they're going to match him up with an easier fight. Everybody's going to come out, oh, it's the return of Canelo and this and that, sort of like what they did with Conor and Donald Cerrone. And by the way, we're going to get to the UFC cards for June, by the way, but we're just working off of the first main event of May, which is Canelo and Munguia, which leads us, well, we'll go back and forth, okay, but which leads us to Kambosos versus Lomachenko. Now, I honestly think that this fight is 50-50. With the recent times in boxing showing that the quote-unquote sure prediction is no more, based on the fact that Devin Haney was the sworn favorite going into this fight with Garcia. Garcia then upsets Devin Haney and shocks the world. And now it just absolutely puts the game at a topsy-turvy situation where we don't know which direction is going to go, and perhaps, maybe this is what we're going to see out of Canelo, out of Kambosos and Lomachenko, but I think we'll also see this with Canelo as well. Don't be surprised if Jamie Munguia wins this fight, because if there is a time for Jamie Munguia to win against Canelo, it is right now. Just like Kambosos. If there's any time Kambosos can ever beat Lomachenko, it definitely wasn't the time when Lomachenko first bursted into the scene. Literally 2 fights in his career, he's got a world title shot already, right? All based on his excellent performance in the amateurs, having 400 some odd fights and a majority of them he won. But this is the time for Kambosos to make an upset. You see, Lomachenko is very skilled. So is Kambosos. However, Kambosos has a certain third, fifth gear that I think he could use as an advantage against Lomachenko, especially with the miles that Lomachenko has already accumulated. Now, look, a lot of people say, well, if you fight big and elite names, that somehow this gains favor to your experience. Yes and no. It gains favor to your experience because you know what it's like to be in there with guys that are at the highest level. But you are also in there with guys that can hurt you and really shorten your career in the process. And that is what I see out of Lomachenko. So next, after that, the Lomachenko fight, you move on to the Alexander Usyk and the Tyson Fury fight. You guys remember that press conference that Tyson Fury had, right? I'm going to show you guys downtown Sacramento as we are driving down. I'm going to talk to you guys about that. So, take a look at this. And then right up ahead of you, you're going to see a Masonic temple just right up ahead, right there. You see that picture right there with the walls? That right there is where the Masonic temple is at. And I'm going to show you right there. See? There's the Masonic temple. While I also talk to you about the press conference that Tyson Fury had, which, by the way, did not include Alexander Usyk, which was basically nothing more than just a show for Tyson Fury. So, regardless, he said something that I thought was very profoundly true that a lot of people are going to scoff at and say, no, that's capping, that's not true. I'm going to tell you what it is. Tyson Fury said that a good big man is always going to beat a good little man. And guess which one is? Tyson Fury is the good big man, and Alexander Usyk is just a little man. Okay, he's a little man who is good, but is not 6'9". And I think this is where a lot of factors are going to play into this whole entire matchup, where we're going to be shocked at the fact that Alexander Usyk is very slow at heavyweight. I don't see anything significant about Alexander Usyk that he's done at cruiserweight. Some guys are just not that fast when they start gaining weight. And I think Usyk is one of them. John Jones is also one of them. This is also the same reason why he doesn't want to fight a younger spring chicken such as Tom Aspinall, because it's a different level of heavyweight. Well, guess what? Ironically enough, Tyson Fury is also a training partner and a sparring partner of Tom Aspinall. And this is where the speed and the size are going to really naturally just give the natural advantage at that for Tyson Fury. So I don't see Alexander Usyk winning this one. I don't see Tyson Fury losing this one at all, not by a long shot. So that is the month of May, and it's boxing. Now, what about June that we can talk about? June is going to kick off with Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev for the undisputed 155 belt. Now, we all can agree that he doesn't deserve this fight. Dustin Poirier. Right or wrong? Does he deserve this or not? I think we know the answer. The answer is that he doesn't deserve it, and we know it. We know it for a fact that he doesn't deserve this card. Okay? However, the one thing you have to really understand and take into perspective is the simple fact that he is an entertaining individual. He is a person that's very well known. He's got big clout behind him. So as a result of that clout, I got to tell you, this is a reason why he's getting this fight. And Islam Makhachev wants that clout as well. But here's the thing. I think this fight is going to be a lot harder than people think. Just because Dustin Poirier doesn't belong in the rankings of, let's say, the top 155 division, he does, because obviously he beat Saint-Denis, yes, a number 12, but he could have easily been number 6, number 7, depending on the other different matches that he would have taken on. But I think that Dustin Poirier has improved vastly to where this fight is going to look way different than the Khabib and Dustin Poirier fight. How so? I think that there's going to be positions where Dustin Poirier is going to nullify some takedowns from Islam Makhachev, maybe even rock him a few times. But make no mistake, Islam Makhachev is the better and much more well-rounded fighter. And as a result, I think that it's going to be a hard-fought decision on the part of Islam Makhachev, but still walking out with a victory. So next matchup for June, Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. Again, another hard-fought matchup. I think that Khamzat Chimaev is going to go through. It's going to honestly look a lot like the Islam Makhachev fight. That's my bold prediction right now. It's also going to be a hard-fought decision for Khamzat. The wrestling exchanges, you're going to see them scramble back and forth. You're going to see them really fight for positions on the ground. And by the way, the stand-up of Khamzat Chimaev is really going to be tested in this fight. But I'm going with Khamzat Chimaev by decision on that one. I don't think he's going to finish Robert Whittaker, which I think will make the fight even more interesting if he ever gets to fight Dricus du Plessis as a champion, or even better for a matchup if he gets to fight Israel Adesanya. If Israel Adesanya gets through Dricus du Plessis, which, by the way, is happening in August. And then, to top it off, for June 29th, International Fight Week usually falls into July, but this one falls into the end of June. Conor McGregor finally returning against Michael Chandler. A lot of questions are going to be asked here. Wendy's got cinnamon rolls. I don't understand what you're trying to imply with that. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, brother. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's some sort of reference to my red shirt or whatever. But anyways, Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor is going to ask a lot of questions, right? Is Conor McGregor prepared? Is he prepared enough in the sense that he's had enough recovery or things of that nature? The reality is probably not. Okay, but we're going to see. And the way that Conor has to fight this fight is the similar fashion that Ronda Rousey had mentioned of why she fought so ferociously, because she felt like she needed to finish the fight off the bat because she knew that going down the later rounds would be detrimental to her health. Conor is in the same situation right now. He really has to avoid those leg kicks, and I can see Michael Chandler straight off the bat going for those leg kicks. And when he does, well, I got to tell you, it's going to be very difficult for Conor McGregor to check those. I can see Michael Chandler finishing him via strikes due to re-injuring Conor McGregor's leg once again. By the way, guys, 3 minutes left. We got 3 minutes left, and it is going to feature my video premiere of why people are annoyed of Ryan Garcia winning the fight. There's some psychological aspect to this that I think many of you will enjoy. Tap in at the top of the hour right now here in West Coast, California. It is 1:57 at 2 p.m. This video will premiere, and I'm going to talk about why Ryan Garcia is annoying a lot of people with his win. And I think that this is going to be a very interesting subject. I think that many of you are going to appreciate it. And not only are many of you going to appreciate it, but I think many of you are also going to find it very intriguing in the best way that I can provide for this channel. So, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next topic at hand. And let's see, we got about a couple of minutes left for this one. So, I suppose we could talk just for a little bit, just before I truly sign off. And let's see here. So, yes, don't forget to like and subscribe as we take a look at my video premiere as well that is popping up next. Inshallah, I hope you guys have a good one. I'm just going to give you guys just a little tour of downtown Sacramento, and then we'll sign off from there. All right, guys, 1 minute before the premiere, go check it out. Probably within less than 60 seconds or so. I'll see you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, inshallah.